Relocating doesn't come with a manual. You cross borders with dreams, skills, and ambition. But the real journey begins after you land. Winning Across Borders is the podcast where Africans in the diaspora share the real stories behind building careers abroad. From survivor jobs and career pivots to breakthroughs, setbacks, and redefining success in unfamiliar systems. No filters, no shortcuts. Just honest conversations, practical lessons, and real blueprints. This is Winning Across Borders. Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Winning Across Borders podcast, where we share stories of Africans in the diaspora who are building their careers, businesses, and opportunities across the world. Today's conversation is a powerful reminder that sometimes the jobs we take out of necessity can end up opening doors we never imagined. Our guest moved to the UK in 2022, and like many other immigrants, our first job wasn't what she really planned, but the experience will end up changing everything. That experience has helped position her for the next major move in her journey, relocating to Canada. And today, she's not only building her life in Canada, but she's also using her experience to help others navigate their own relocation journey as an immigration educator. In this episode, we're going to talk about what it really felt like starting over in the UK. One job could turn into a life-changing opportunity. So if you've ever wondered whether the job you're doing today could be preparing you for something bigger tomorrow, this conversation is for you. Let's get into it. So, Bolu, thank you for joining us today. You're welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity. So, to just get started, I'm just going to play a little game with you. This is just of your own personal opinion. Just a few questions. You're just going to answer with either UK or Canada.
Okay.
Quick fire question. So, the first thing is weather.
I'm picking the one I prefer.
The one you would prefer, UK or Canada?
UK, of course.
Okay. Public transport.
UK.
Cost of living.
UK.
Work-life balance.
Canada.
Okay. Job opportunities.
Canada.
Career growth.
Canada.
Opportunities for immigrants to settle.
Canada.
Okay. Healthcare system.
UK.
African community.
UK.
Okay. Making friends.
Canada.
Okay. Opportunities for African food.
UK.
Then general entertainment, ease of going out and having fun.
Canada.
Okay, great. Thank you for answering those questions in your personal opinion.
Thank you.
So, would like to know a bit about you. Could you please give us a bit intro into your background, what you were doing, how was life for you, career path for you before you relocated to the UK?
So before I relocated to the UK, I was working with the bank as a customer service officer. Then when I moved to the UK, I was looking for a customer service officer job. Of course, I wanted to continue that since it was something I was used to and I was comfortable doing. Then I didn't find anything like that. So I got my first job as a support worker with a group home that had 40 residents. Then from there, I worked there for about a year. Then I transitioned to the NHS. And I was working with an home care team. And so I had just one client. It was really good. It was really chilled. And yeah, from there, I moved to Canada. I came to study. I studied human resources. And right now, I'm working in social services in Canada.
Wow, that's great. We're going to get into how that story happened, how that journey happened. First things is, there's always a reason why somebody makes a decision. And you just said you were in the banking industry in Nigeria before moving to the UK. So what prompted the move to the UK and why did you make that decision? Was it UK for you, or you always had Canada at the back of your mind and you just said, oh, let me go to UK first? Or it was when you got to the UK that you decided to go to Canada?
Okay, so it has always been Canada, right? We've tried Canada together, my husband and I, before we got married, and it just never worked out. So, mind you, my entire family is in Canada. My mom, my dad, my sister, my brother. So it was just me that was left in Nigeria, trapped in Nigeria, right? So it's been Canada all along. But then since it was difficult to get the visa from Nigeria, as at that time, around 2019, 2021, 2022, that was when a lot of people were moving to the UK. So that time, a lot of people were moving from my office, like we had a month where we had like two people left. And I'm like, I told my husband and I said, let's try this thing. The goal is to leave Nigeria, right? Let's even start from somewhere. I said a lot of things about the UK, there's nothing happening there, blah blah blah. I said, let's just try. And then I don't know, something happened to him at work. And then he's like, okay, I'm done. Like I'm done with this country. Then he applied to go to the UK to study. Then I was his dependent. I was even the one that was meant to go study. But Nigeria, what happened to you? I tried renewing my passport and I couldn't get it.
Wow.
So it was already delaying the whole process. And my husband just had to be the one to go to school. So when we got to the UK, I was living in Aberdeen, Scotland. Trust me, I loved it there. Peaceful. Cost of living is very like minimal. I had a good life. We could travel to Nigeria because UK to Nigeria is not far. I could get things from Nigeria. I was already settling in the UK. And then when I got my job with the NHS, it was band three. I already knew that I could get sponsorship because I think they start sponsoring from band three upward. I don't know if it has changed now. So I don't know, a lot of things just happened around that period and I couldn't get my sponsorship. The manager was like the manager moved to another unit. We got a new manager that had no clue on what all these things. So that was going to slow down my application. And I'm talking about July. And my husband's visa we had was expiring in October. My visa was expiring in October, and at July I didn't have a clear end of what was happening. I think it was in June. Sorry, it was in June. June, July, August, September, October. It was July, sorry. So at that time we already had visitors visa for Canada. So I just applied for study permit because it didn't make sense for me to pay post study. I'm so sorry to some people who might find this offensive, but I saw it as a waste of money because that was even when they now increased the amount. We're going to pay like £6,000 for a family of three. And I'm like, no way. I wasn't going to pay for it because it wasn't going to count towards anything. And then the uncertainty that comes with it. You know that after 2 years you're not getting anything. You're not even sure what's going to happen after the 2 years. I wasn't willing to take that risk. So I thought about it that £6,000, when it was converted to Canadian dollars, it was about 9,000 to 10,000 Canadian dollars. My school fee for study was 18,000 Canadian dollars. So I paid my fees, right, with that post-study fee, right? And we just moved to Canada. Luckily for me, it worked out really fast. So I was able to use that money that we had saved up for post-study to pay for my school fees here in Canada. And then we were able to move. My husband was able to convert to, just like the UK dependent visa. Then I studied for a year, right? And compared to the UK, you get 1 year postgraduate work permit here, and it's not as expensive as it is in the UK. Um, Thankfully, my experience in the UK was what I used to apply for express entry. So I think because I already settled in the UK, I was comfortable. It wasn't my plan to move to Canada anymore. I just got the visitors visa so I could come visit my family and go back to the UK because I was already building something nice in Aberdeen, right? So I didn't bother using my experience when I had up to 1 year to apply for express entry. But at the point when I got here, I applied for express entry using my healthcare experience back in the UK. And that was what I used to get my permanent resident.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great, great. That's where we are going to. But before we get there, I'm just going to take you back a bit to when you got your first job in the UK. Your post I saw when you talked about how you didn't really like the whole support work thing, but
Yeah.
then something happened along the line that made you change your mind about the old job. Could you just give us a brief summary about?
Oh yes. So that was in my it wasn't even in my plan at all to get a support job. And I didn't I didn't even have I already assumed in my head that, oh, as soon as I get there, I'll be able to apply to work in banks. And then my delusion was even supported by my colleague who had gone um from my office in Nigeria, who got a job at the bank. And I saw his face. They used his face as an advert for the bank. And I'm like, oh, nice. So that was all I had in mind. That, oh, as soon as I get there, I'm going to apply to work at the banks and, get a job and all that. And then when it wasn't forthcoming, I had to take the role as a support worker. And then it wasn't what I wanted exactly. So I wasn't happy. And then I didn't like the job per se because it wasn't something I had done before. It wasn't something I had imagined myself doing. It was along the line. And then I was ashamed. That's the honest truth. Because I felt like, oh, it was I don't know. I just felt a type of way that, oh, how do I tell my friends? You know how Nigerians can be. How do I
Yes,
tell
yeah,
my
I
friends that
understand.
I used to work at the bank and I was already growing. And then all of a sudden, I'm in the UK, I'm doing a support job. That was my mindset as at that time. And I feel so ashamed right now that I had that type of mindset. Because in Nigeria, people do things as long as you're doing something legally to make your money. It's nobody's business.
Yeah.
Nobody should laugh at you for that. But because we know that definitely some people will go behind you and laugh at you. Oh, despite all their fine pictures on Instagram, despite this, despite that, this is what they are doing. I don't believe that in 2026 anybody should be shaming anybody for any legal job that they are doing. Until one day, one of our residents came and she did a card. The effort that went into the card made me realize that she genuinely appreciated us because that card was printed with my picture. You know, when you print a card and your picture is
Wow.
what's in front. So you know that, okay, this person did not just go to the store to buy the card. It was custom made for you. And then the notes and everything, the way she appreciated us. And she made me understand that if we weren't there working, then our mom will not be able to thrive or even survive.
Right.
That was the moment my
Yeah.
mindset changed. Like, okay, so this definitely means that I'm saving lives. And then that was the moment I started seeing the job differently. And then I started to talk about it. I took pictures in my uniform. I could post it on my WhatsApp story, especially when I started working with the NHS. I stopped hiding it. And little did I know that that job was what was going to get me my permanent residence.
Thank you very much. So I'm just going to go into something you said that when your mindset had changed about the job and you saw that you were actually saving lives, you were helping people, you were putting a smile on people's face. You mentioned that you had tried to go to study nursing, but it wasn't possible. So you took some courses in public health and things like that. Diving into that, what was the reason why you could get into that nursing role? Was it cost, or is it that there were limitations for immigrants?
You were asking me if it was because of costs. At that time, I wasn't able to take the nursing program.
Yes, or was it due to immigration, like because you're an immigrant?
Yes, it had
Were
to
there
do with
limitations
cost.
to that?
It had to do with cost and also because I was an immigrant. So I didn't want to pay the international student fee because that was going to be expensive. That's why I didn't take it at that time.
All right. So instead of that, you did some courses in public health.
Yes, and it was work that sponsored it.
All right, great. Could you take us through that thing? Because there might be some people too
That
in
want
such
to stop.
position now and want to learn more to give them more experience in that aspect. I want to take such courses.
At that time, it was the university in my community at that time. The university in my city that had like a short skilled program for people who were working and of course didn't have time to go to school. So my
Wow.
organization asked us if we were willing to take the pro because they had like an affiliation with the school, something like that. So I think I took 4 or 3 programs. So the public health is not like a master's or a diploma. It's just like a short course in public health. and health promotion.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Good. So that gave you the needed experience you needed in the health
Yeah.
care aspect.
Yes, agreed,
Great.
agreed. Because that's what I used. I used it here to get. It was part of the documents I submitted for my job here as a social service worker. Yeah.
So we're going to actually come into that now, into the move to Canada. So
Mhm.
when you had decided you wanted to go to Canada, you had gone for study, and after school, you said to apply for PR.
Yeah.
Could you take us through a bit of how that experience as a support worker in the UK and the health courses you took
Mhm.
helped facilitate you in getting that pay? People, because I know there are some people in such position now, they're thinking of other countries because of the uncertainties in the UK and they already have these health experiences. How
Yeah.
can they do it also to help facilitate getting their PR like you did?
So I think before now, you needed to have 6 months work experience as a healthcare support worker, nurse, and there are several type of jobs that can be under the healthcare program. It's just based on your own experience. But now you need to have up to 12 months work experience as in healthcare in order to get to a permanent resident. I think
Okay.
the process is quite straightforward. You need to just get your reference letter from the job to prove that you worked with them. You need a few pay stubs just to show that just more proof to show that you worked with them. You need a language test. And I usually advise people to make sure that they do well in their language test because it will increase their points, right? And you need proof of funds. And it varies depending on the family size.
Yeah.
So that's basically, if you meet up with all the criteria, you're definitely going to get your permanent resident.
All right. Thank you very much. For people that would need more information about that, Bolu is an immigration educator. We're going to tag our page here. So if you need more information about getting into Canada, you can go to our page, reach
Yeah.
out to her. She'll put you through more in being able to move to Canada and put your PR together. The last question I'm going to ask you now is for somebody in such position you were a few years ago, probably they just finished their studies in the UK and
Mhm.
they are confused on what to do. They are listening every day to the news and they are confused on the uncertainties of the
Mhm.
UK immigration space. For people that are probably in support or care role at the moment
Mhm.
and they had the same mindset you had then, what advice would you give to them and how would you put them in the right direction?
People in my situation I see the news every day and I see that is really the uncertainty is it makes somebody very anxious. For every time that I was in the UK, every day I kept I could be playing and whenever that comes to my head that you're not settled here and you don't know the next thing to do. It's just as if somebody poured cold water on me. I'll just be calm because I'm not settled. So I understand. I see you. I was in your shoes. And I would just like to say that you should just be proactive. If I wasn't proactive enough, how do you tell somebody that your visa is expiring in less than, let's just say 2 months plus, and then you just had to quickly think of it that, oh, this is what I have to do. This is what I need to do. And that is what I need to do. And it worked out. Another thing that helps is saving. See, when you have at least an amount of cash, you'll be able to quickly do things. So even if it's just £100, £50 that you're able to keep every month, because we knew that we're not settling in that place and we did not have an option yet. We're not eating with all fingers. We were setting aside money for things. And that's why it was very easy for us to move. We were able to pay my fees. We were able to, what's it called now? Provide proof of funds. Of course, I had the support of my family members. But if we didn't ourselves have enough at that point, I don't think their input would have mattered because if we didn't have anything, we would have been depending too much on them. But we're able to pay our fees, do proof of funds, and paid our flights to come here, get a new apartment, settle in. It requires a lot of cash and a lot of money. So that's another thing that will help you. If you know that you still have plans to move to another place, I would advise that you start saving for it now. Because if you don't have the money, it will limit you to Like you'll be limited to the things that you want to do. But because at that time we had the money, I could say, okay, let me just go and study instead of staying back in the UK. And it was seamless.
All right, thank you very much. I'm just going to ask a quick question there. Your own route was a bit different. You had to go study first in Canada before.
Because there was no more time. Express entry takes like give or take 6 months. Yeah, before you write your test, enter the pool, wait for invitation, submit your application. The application itself takes 6 months. I needed something that was very quick at that point, and it was study. So that's another lesson to take from me. Although I wasn't planning to move, if only I knew as soon as I had up to 6 months work experience, I would have done it. Then I didn't need to have paid that amount of money that I paid for fees. I would have just come in as PR. But because I wasn't planning to move and I wasn't fast about it, I wasn't proactive enough, right? I had to that was what I needed to I had to pay for my slack, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, but for other people, they don't have to go through study if they still have the time. If they still have the time, but I had to go through study because I didn't have the time. I usually, study visa takes like some people get their study permit in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I got mine in like 4 weeks. So it was very easy
Okay.
for us. And like I said, we already had visitors visa. So I came in with study permit and my husband and my son got their dependent visa when they entered Canada. Since we already had study permit, visitors visa, there was no time to start applying for them. We
For
just had
that,
to
yeah.
leave. My visa was expiring October 25th. October 30th. I left October 25th. Just
Wow.
5 days to the expiry of my visa.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So your advice now would be anybody that's still having plan of moving from UK to Canada through express entry, they need to give themselves about 6 months to 1 year to plan the entire thing. Okay,
Well,
thank
yeah.
you very much.
For some people, it might be faster. I've heard of some people who entered the pool today and they got ITA the next day because they usually do draws every 2 weeks. So you can enter the pool this week and next week they do a draw or score meets up to the cutoff. You get ITA. But the application itself takes 6 months. That's what they say. It might be quicker than that.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much
Bolu,
for
for giving
having
this
me.
opportunity. One of the biggest takeaways from today's episode is that sometimes the opportunities that shape our future don't come packaged the way we expect them. What started as a job she took simply because it was available ended up opening doors into healthcare, new opportunities, and a pathway to relocate to Canada for her. So today she's not only living that journey, but she's also helping others navigate as an immigration educator, sharing knowledge and guidance with people who are trying to figure out their own path. And that's exactly what this podcast is all about, sharing real stories so that others can learn, prepare, and make informed decisions about their own journey. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe, share with someone who might be planning to relocate, and follow us for more stories from Africans who are winning across borders. Until next time, keep building, keep pushing, and keep winning across borders. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much.